$70,000 bucks.
70,000.
70,000. My point here is just who should have been looking at that? Any equity analyst who was looking at that. Obviously, the insurance company should have, but the idea that that could have been peddled to our pension plans and no equity analyst would have looked.
What else we got?
The other couple of things would be RIM. RIM's market share has gone from 16% to 13%. They came out with the Torch. You've probably seen a
Torch only has done 150,000 units. That's it. They're saying it's the bright spot of where they're moving. So RIM is really hurting. Matter of fact, how about all the security issues now?
Well, yeah, you're talking Saudi Arabia, Abu Dhabi, India have all said you can use RIM, but we want to use our security forces to peek into the emails, right? We all know how that's going to end up. So, but that's what you have to do. Apparently, they've done that for Russia, so I think RIM has to expect that. Keep in mind, I mean, RIM has 20 million enterprise users. The problem is that bring your own telephone to work is now becoming the dominant way people use the telephone. It used to be your cell phone. A lot of the enterprises, they said, we mandate BlackBerry. That's going away.
Yep.
I think that, and which means RIM now needs to be able to sell phones to people rather than just ship them. I think that's going to hurt. MacAfee.
When will our cell phones become as good as our landlines?
Never.
Yeah.
It's RF versus landline. Never.
Yeah. Do you actually have a landline, Tony? Tony has the only 1-900 landline. You call Tony. He makes money and call me. Give me a call.
A couple of other things here on the business front. So big news. Personally, I think it's great news for venture capitalists. Intel is buying MacAfee. You all saw that. Intel trades at about a 10x PE. They're buying MacAfee at a 60% premium at about a $4.5 billion market cap. Now it's got about a $7.5 billion market cap. Why is that good? Because Intel has basically said, remember, Intel and Microsoft are PC era companies. They are no longer growing at more than a few % a year. The market has turned from, we're happy with profits even if top line is flat, to we want to see growth. So Intel is saying, hey, we can double our growth by using McAfee and its security and embedding those in all of our OSs.
Too. And you know the rumor now, Intel has been eyeing Nokia in an aggressive way.
Which is interesting because what Intel is saying is there's 1.3 billion PCs, growth is stagnant. There is 1 billion mobile devices, and that is growing at 2.5 to 3 times the rate of PCs. So clearly, and by the way, the problem is they don't sell chips in the mobile environment. And the reason Intel doesn't is because it has excessive power-hungry chips. Most of the chips you guys see in your mobile devices are ARM-based processors, right? The UK company.
Do you think this signifies Intel's move to the service marketplace?
I don't know yet, Tony. GM going public, all I'll say about that is, looks like it's about a 30 billion market cap. I'm sorry, 50 billion total enterprise value. There's about 20 billion in debt, so the market cap would be about 30 billion. The US government owns 61% of the company. It paid 42 billion for that. So it's underwater, and given the market cap, it's going to have a higher market cap than Ford.
Who's going to put money into GM? Who would buy GM stock? I'm just curious.
No way.
No way.
I'll tell you one reason to buy GM stock.
He ain't going under.
It is a company that will never go out of business. It is now a ward of the government. So you will never, ever see that company file bankruptcy again. It's Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, it's Amtrak. So it won't earn a lot, but
steady.
Last thing on the company side is Google. Google bought Like.com. I think that's really interesting. And the reason is because, as I think most of you know, Google does CPM through DoubleClick and CPC, its original cost per click. What it's never gotten into is CPA, which is cost per acquisition. But if you look at the actual dollars earned on the web, it's the cost per acquisition, what's known as lead gen. That piece of it is far, far higher than what you can earn on a cost per click and CPM. So Google is now looking at basically its customers and saying, you're capturing a way bigger share of the e-commerce transaction. So Like is going to allow them to go into that. I think value click is going to really be.
Do me a favor, give me an analogy between Microsoft and Google right now, because everyone thinks Microsoft's dead, but look at revenues between between the two companies. Give me an idea of the difference.
Right, so it is fascinating, right? I mean, never discount a monopoly, right? Especially when you have anti-competitive practices by the monopolizer. So Microsoft we all think of as dead because, you know, it's an old company, it's a PC era company. But they have 40 billion on the balance sheet, right? Now Google has 30, but still, they have 40 billion on their balance sheet. That's after distributing 50 billion a couple of years ago. They will, this year, generate more free cash flow than Google has made in its entire history. Right? That is the value of a monopoly. So they lost from 2002 to about 2009, they lost about $7 billion in their internet business units, right? They're going to make 30 billion of free cash flow this year. So I think they can continue to pile more and more and more money into it.
Let's do one more Google story real quick. Google story regarding Android and RIM and all these. I think it's really interesting. It's new technology. This is interesting. Last thing.
So Android, RIM, Symbian, they're all now incorporating iris scanners into their software. And obviously the reason for that is because the cell phone is becoming essentially your mobile computer, but it's also becoming your electronic wallet. So fairly shortly, we will be verifying who we are with our cell phones with an iris scan. And as some of you know, iris scanning is next to DNA, the most reliable biometric there is. Much better than a thumbprint and facial recognition.
So you use your eye to actually verify who you are so you get access to your funds.
One last thing I'll end on, I like to end on a musing note. I read 2 articles this week. One was about China, one is about the US investors. China investors said middle class is pouring into the market. They're really hungry to know how to make money. So investment advisors, new companies that are catering, like Mint.com types that are catering to the Chinese middle market. These people have gone from 1978, where they were about communists, to being pretty darn educated capitalists in the span of 30 years. The next article I read was on Bloomberg, and it was about how to get rich fast and recover your portfolio. Now, there were 3 things that they listed that I thought were noteworthy. One of them was go to garage sales and try to find hidden treasures. The other was file a lawsuit and hire a contingency lawyer because then you don't have to pay the out-of-pocket costs.
There you go.
And the last one was get a metal detector and you might be able to find treasure. There you go.
Other fun stories that are floating around this week.
Can you read the story about the midwife who sewed up a little apple?
What was that? So a couple of quick stories. The FAA now is going to be deciding that they're going to be looking into actually watching space and creating now the new what's FAA for the ground, for space now. That's launching. People Magazine has announced that their magazine app is free for people that get the actual magazine sent to them. So kind of like the over-the-top, if you have HBO, you can watch HBO stuff online. I like where that's going. And this kind of leads into our next speaker. New study coming out showing that plant activity, literally plants on the planet, have slowed and actually decreased growing. There's less plant growth in the world right now. And they're saying because of climate change, global warming, whatever you want. Now our next speaker, it's interesting. We would have had a larger group here, but some people just hate him. And I love that. I love when there's emotions around people because that means there's opportunity. What I love about Andrew is how he manipulates the media, how he controls the media. That's actually how I created the topic for today, was around the idea of how to control the media. How do you get people to react, to respond, to look at where the opportunities are to get people to jump. And this guy's a master at that. He's really taken the media by storm. And boy, do they jump when he wants them to make them jump. He's done this for a while, from the Drudge Report to the Huffington Post to what he's doing with his own media properties online. I'm not sure who here has seen him this week somewhere. I mean, really, I've seen him this week. Tomorrow, he's actually in Aspen debating James Cameron. So we're really happy to have him with us. So Andrew, I want you to come over here and I want you to dazzle us.